Okay, we actually are going to start this meeting with a public hearing, and this regards the annexation. It's a very unique situation. As council should be aware of already, we have a sliver of property inside the Governor Gray development that was, for whatever reason, not a part of that plan, according to the county. And so we have to annex it into the city to be able to facilitate the entire housing development. And the only person that it's all adjoining property owners can oppose the annexation. And all adjoining property owners are the same person. So unless he has some type of fit of rage against himself, he's not going to oppose the annexation. So we have to go through this as a matter of formality. Enough of that. Is there anybody have any questions or comments?
Well, just as far as the procedure, so 2 council meetings ago, the petition was filed with the council. Today is the public hearing. At your next meeting, 14 days later, it'll be on your agenda to vote to adopt the ordinance annexing these 4 pieces of real estate that basically have been treated as Union City anyway all these years, since like the early 90s. And then if you adopt it, then it's published. People have 30 days to petition to, I don't know, remonstrate or whatever, and then that's it. So at the next meeting, you'll vote.
Is there a map of the area?
Yes.
And the thought is it was just a simple oversight in the recording process. Because, yeah,
This was
There's a
done.
whole list of parcels.
So all this was annexed about the same time, and in the I think it's the early 90s. So these are the ones that need to be annexed. That we're going to annex, and there's one down here also. But all of this belongs. All these out there belong. They've all been annexed into the city, but these technically are in the county.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So these areas are surrounded by areas that are owned by the city, except for how long? Where's that?
I mean,
Looks to me like they just missed some
10
parcels,
yards.
Yeah.
On what is that, Jackson?
Yeah.
Parcel numbers that didn't get recognized and dismissed.
Right.
But those have to be.
Yeah, in order to plat out that ground officially for the subdivision, those have to be annexed into the city. So we're like all together, maybe 1 acre, maybe not even that.
Total.
Yeah, total.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, then I hereby close the public hearing at 6:03 p.m. and we are very privileged to have the opportunity to swear in a Mr. Dustin Bruner. So if you don't mind, I have you approach the podium and we will have official forms for you to sign that you'll have a copy. You'll get to keep the nice copy, and then we'll have a copy for our file. But if you don't mind, for due process, if you wouldn't mind, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Dustin Bruner,
I, Dustin Bruner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the City of Union City, Indiana,
of the City of Union City, Indiana,
and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the position of firefighter
of the position of firefighter
according to law
according to law
and to the best of my ability.
and to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Round of applause. You know, something I need to start, and my apologies to all these that we've done beforehand, because I've totally dropped the ball. You have family here, and we should give individuals the right to recognize who they have here supporting them and being their other half. So if you don't mind, if you want to recognize your family.
I've got my wife Lara, my stepson Hayden, my daughter Remington, and my mom Chris.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, and welcome.
Thank
Okay, awesome, thank you. All right, well, wonderful, and with that, we will go ahead and begin the meeting with the pledge, so if everyone would please rise and remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. And as always, thank you for each and every individual, not just in this room, but in this entire community. We will always need your guidance, and please forgive us for any times that we don't think we need your guidance. We will always need your guidance in this community and to help us to make the best decisions that are for the good of everyone. And most importantly, even though there's decisions sometimes that we have to make that may not always feel the best to every single individual in this community, please help us convey to them how much we still love them and that we care about them and that every individual in this community matters. We thank you for all your blessings upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Cindy, I can't believe I got that right. Go ahead. If you would take roll call.
Brandon Elmore,
Present.
Bob Leahy,
Here.
Jason Brewer,
Here.
Tim Heiss,
Here.
Sheila Ferris,
Here.
All right. Now, I'm about to do two things I need to make note of. One is I will be, if we don't progress, I've got to move that clock up. We don't progress in quick manner, and I'm not asking us to, but I'm just saying I'm going to have to take off about 6:35 because I've got a presentation to do at a meeting down the street that's critical. So I will hand the reins over to Brandon if necessary. The other thing is I'm about to put these on because I can't see anything in front of me, and I had to buy a pair of glasses because I've lost my last two pair of glasses. And so I swear to God I'm not trying to make a statement when I put these on. It's just the only thing that was available in the communities at the time. So, but boy, I can see a lot easier now. The consent agenda. I trust everyone's had an opportunity to review the consent agenda as presented. Do we have any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have our first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Consent agenda approved as presented. We don't have any presenters, so department reports, I will start. We did have some questions, a couple questions raised in a public setting recently, or a public forum, I guess if you will, social media, about property that the city has downtown and regarding incoming businesses. The one thing that's important to know, I'll read here, I actually reached out to a state attorney, Tom Pittman with Barnes and Thornburg, because I thought I had everything straight, but that's like I don't want to leave anything to chance because I don't want to steer anybody wrong, and I want to make sure I had my facts straight. But as he outlined for us, when it comes to property owned by the Redevelopment Commission of Union City, the order is if you have a property that you're looking to dispose of or sale or lease, either one, you have to obtain two appraisals from qualified appraisers appraising the sale value or alternatively the lease value. And if you want to leave flexibility either to sell or to lease, he says you will need appraisals of both the sale value and the lease value. Once appraisals have been completed, publish a notice requesting proposals to buy the property or alternatively proposals to lease it if that's your preference. The notice must be published once each week for 2 weeks, and the date proposals are due. The date proposals are due may not be set at a date sooner than 7 days after the second publication. Logically, the publication should set a proposed minimum sale price or lease price, which has to be at least the average of the two appraisals, and can also specify a required use for the property. If no one submits a proposal that meets both the price and the use requirement, the Redevelopment Commission can reject all proposals. 30 days after that, the Redevelopment Commission can dispose of property by sale or lease, whatever price, and to whatever buyer or leasee it chooses. So there's great flexibility there for the Redevelopment Commission, but specific to this property down here, it should be noted it was actually, I can take this off. It should be noted that property was obtained by the Redevelopment Commission in 2012. However, it was not listed for sale until October. Let me get this right. No, November. Okay, grab that, put them back on. November of 2018, according to Paul Faddis with Tartar Realty. It was listed in November 2018 with them, and it was on the books. It was listed publicly for 12 months instead of 30 days. It was listed for 12 months with a sale price of $44,900, and we had no offers. And so it met stipulation number 4 at that point. So that's the background on that, because I don't want anybody to think that this was a fly-by-night deal. This is actually, we've had this for over 10 years, unfortunately, and it sat dormant forever. And so anyway, so I hope that helps address that, add some clarity to that. And then in terms of other happenings around the community, we look for the demo work to begin later this week, hopefully, if not next week for sure. So those 3 properties can be cleaned up completely as was originally designed. And thank you guys for approving the new bidder. So that's all I have at the moment. We don't have department heads. Eric kind of took off. So Cindy, you don't have anything you want to?
No.
Okay. Okay, council members. Tito, we'll start with you.
Very good. So I was going to ask questions related to what you were just telling us about the buildings. So my question then on that is that for both buildings? Were both buildings listed in 2018? The one for Hub City Finance and
Correct.
the one currently slated for Roots?
Not Hub City Finance. That is currently owned by us, and we would have to go through this process if we were to sell it or lease it.
Okay.
So
Okay. So just so people understand that idea is in its infancy.
right.
Okay.
Right.
So haven't gone through the process, but we will.
Correct.
Okay.
And as another thing to note too, I apologize, I didn't mean to interrupt. The process, because Tito asked a good question of me previously in terms of, what is the process for the public posting? Well, it's as I conveyed it is according to what I just read, but that process was followed to a T. If you guys remember, when we had the 3 buildings, we listed, had everybody make their offers, and then you guys approved the offers, which we only had, I think, 1 offer in each building. We had 1 building had 2 offers, and the other 2 buildings only had 1 offer each.
Correct.
So, there you go. Sorry, go ahead.
So good. So last question I had on this: how does that process, or the process you described, and the one we're taking with these 2 buildings, how does that differ from the rock houses? Just because people have, I know,
Right.
People are asking.
No, absolutely. The only way it would differ is it's not owned by, well, actually, the property is owned by the Redevelopment Commission, but it's still, we've listed those. We listed the first one. The second one's not listed yet because the floors aren't done. So it's not officially ready to show, but it would be listed.
The rock houses never transferred out of the redevelopment commission, did they? Did it stay in the redevelopment
It did.
commission the whole process?
It did.
So it was the house was renovated before it was ever listed, so then it was listed and sold as per that.
Correct. Correct.
It went through that listing process.
Okay.
Thank you.
In a little different version.
I didn't realize that first
More
one.
direct version of it, actually.
Yeah, streamlined version.
Yeah.
Good. That's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you. Tim?
I don't have anything.
Jason?
The only thing I have is I was notified by a citizen who lives across from the park in that neighborhood regarding flooding from the rain we had on March 3rd. This was West Sunset Avenue. So I drove out there and check it out, and yeah, the road is pretty flooded, and so much so that water had backed up about halfway into 2 people's front yards, and those front yards are quite large. So I just told this person I would, check it out and bring it up the next.
On which
council
side of the
meeting.
park, just to clarify?
Maybe the north.
North side.
Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see, because we're going to be addressing part of that at the end of this meeting.
Jason,
Okay.
is that
But-
in Parkview?
Parkview.
Yeah, that's just, that, because I used to live there,
Mhm.
that's typical
Okay.
when the system is inundated with water in a very short period of time. There's only so much water that the system will manage, and it will back up there in the center.
Okay.
And it goes away pretty quickly, really, and I believe most of the residents should be aware of that, but I mean, that is something that has happened in the past, and it's basically that whole system for the Parkview subdivision moves into a common system, crosses 260 there, like at the skate park,
Mhm.
and joins into the city system and goes into the creek at that point.
Okay.
But when that system is full and the water's up in the creek and there's no place for it to go, it just sits there
Gotcha.
waiting to get away.
Okay.
So it doesn't happen all the time, but it can, and it is known to happen that way.
It
So
will, quite a lot.
mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else?
No, no.
Bob, it's so good to see you, man.
Yep, thank you. There was no area planning commission meeting in February, but there will be one this month. I think it's next Wednesday night on the 22nd.
Okay.
And that's all I had.
Well, thank you. Jason, or, good grief. I'm so sorry. Brandon.
Yeah, so I actually owe Josiah a public apology.
Oh.
So you put me in charge at last week's meeting 2 weeks ago, and I got up after the meeting and thought, well, this didn't go that bad, and then I panned to the left and I saw Josiah over there. I'm like, oh, jeez. I completely slipped my mind. So Jan and I actually talked about it after the meeting, and she actually put him on the agenda here to make sure that we don't forget him in the future. So
Done that a long time ago.
yeah, so we've got that taken care of, and he actually had some timely updates that may have passed with the play, which I was unfortunate that we didn't get that update out there, but I apologize again, Josiah.
It is all right.
Well, before we go to Steve and Josiah, Tito, you have one more thing you just wanted to?
Yeah, there are a few citizens who have asked me about cardinal ethanol. So just so people, the public is aware that the mayor and city council, and I'm not sure who else, will be meeting with cardinal ethanol next week, right?
I think it is next week.
Next week.
After,
So
It's
after
Wednesday,
plan.
yeah.
after plans,
Yep,
I'm
after
gonna ask
plan.
all those questions.
Yep, super.
And then I had one other thing
Yeah,
before we move on
sorry,
to
Brandon.
Josiah, or actually it would be Steve next, but yeah. So I had a complaint from a concerned citizen.
Uh-huh.
On the corner of Turner and Jackson Pike, there is a property that
I know where you're talking.
I don't know what they're doing, if they're trying to run a repair garage out
Yes.
of their home, but there is about anywhere between 10 and 12 cars.
I know exactly what you're talking about because I fielded that from another citizens and I ran it to
Jamie?
Jamie. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
struggling
spoken
this
with
thing.
Jamie about it too.
Okay, good. So we've got Jamie gives them a timeline of which they've got to meet,
Yeah.
expectations to get cleaned up. So we've got to follow. I've got to follow up with Jamie over the next. I don't know when he initiated that contact with him, but it'd be within 2 weeks. So
Yeah, I spoke with Jamie 2.5 weeks ago, and he said that he was aware of it, but he hadn't reached out to the individual yet. But he was trying to get his ducks in a row as to how he should proceed. So it sounds like at this point he has contacted them, but we've seen a little bit of improvement, but
not
a whole
much.
lot.
Yeah.
So just wanted to make that public that that's an
Yes.
issue, and
Appreciate that.
citizens have
That's
voiced their
def-
opinion about it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue we've got to get resolved because that's a residential. That's not a commercial space.
Right.
So-
And it appears to be in violation of ordinances that we,
Correct.
as this
Yeah.
council, have passed, where
Definitely.
you shouldn't be parking on your lawn.
Yeah, exactly.
And only in improved areas, and those are not improved areas where cars are parked. So,
Great call out. Anything else?
oh, that's it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Steve.
I have nothing except what's on the agenda.
Okay. Josiah.
So as he referred to earlier, I thought I'd refer to the musical. I think we did an amazing job Friday and Saturday night this past weekend. I think everyone did an amazing job performing Clue the musical is what it was. Thank the cast and think that our school is able to do these kinds of things, and we had quite a time crunch there at the end, especially as if anyone wants to watch it. I think it's posted on K.I.S.S TV on YouTube, so if you want to go back and watch it, you can. Another thing I have is this morning we had the school had ICE program students. They had their interviews in Winchester at the Career Center. They had interviews with various jobs that are related to Randolph County United. So all those jobs should be having quite a tough time figuring out who to hire onto their team and see who can improve their business.
I'm sorry, question, is that for internships?
Yes,
For the
internships.
Good question.
Internships for learning and stuff like that. So also next week at our school there's going to be spring break, so all the kids can take a break from school. And here lately, these past couple weeks, baseball season has started, as well as the track and field season has started. And I think that's all I have.
Wow, that's great. And good job with the musical and
Thank you.
ice. And of course, baseball and track have started because it started snowing. So.
How about
on cue.
golf season too?
Yes, golf season has also started.
Oh, mercy.
That's even
Wow,
better,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And softball.
And so,
Thank you again, Josiah.
Yes.
New business resolution 2023-R-02, which is a resolution concerning the county loan for the housing project. And that would be the first item in your packet. And it really should be, there shouldn't be anything in there that is different than what you originally agreed to, other than the fact that it just put it back a year, is all it did. So payments would not begin until next year as opposed to this year. So that's exactly what the city, that you as a council had agreed to originally, except to just push it back another year.
And how much was that for?
350,000.
Okay.
So it's about 50,000 a year, 0% interest over 7 years.
Okay, so I'm asking this question because I know people are gonna ask this. So we provided land to the developer free of charge. The developer themselves is funding the building of the houses, so what is this loan for? Like, I know the answer. but I'm
Infrastructure.
asking.
The infrastructure.
It's for the infrastructure.
Yeah,
Sewer, roads.
that's what our responsibility
Sewer,
is.
roads.
Yep,
and all that.
our responsibility is what's in the ground. Their responsibility is what's above, so.
Got it, perfect. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? If not, I would accept the motion for approval.
I move we accept resolution number 2023-R-02, resolution of the City of Union City for the Union City Housing Project and related matters by title only.
Do we have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Tito. Cindy, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Jason Brewer,
Yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Peter Ferris,
Yes.
All right, ordinance number 2023-04, which is the ordinance amending ambulance fees on the first reading. Also, well, unless I read it, be title only. Steve, did you want to add anything to this?
Sure. This hasn't been done by our community for several years. It's just time for a general update of the ambulance billing fees. I'm more than happy to explain in more detail. This doesn't really affect the end user. What this is directly affecting is our rate of return from private insurance, Medicare, Medicaid. So this update here does a couple of things. It's going to match us with Union City, Ohio, who is becoming our collaborative partner in this process. So we would be pairing our rates exactly the same. Plus, we are doing nothing more than just following the recommendation from our billing agency to set the rates at a rate where we can effectively receive the maximum rate of return.
Right, because as insurance rates have gone up, we're not keeping pace, so we're not taking advantage of what we're capped at with the insurance. So if an insurance will pay 80%, for example, but we've never increased our rates, then we're actually losing out.
Right.
We are also, just for clarification, adding AOS2 billing, which we've just historically lumped it all together. and billed as an ALS call. We're going to go ahead and add the ALS 2 level, which is 3 or more drugs or ALS procedures administered to a single patient. So
When I looked at this and I compared it to what I had in my version of the binders that with the ordinances that I received, you're right. I mean, you added the second level of the advanced services. But when you read the proposed change, right, subsection B and subsection C, the words are actually exactly the same.
they're exactly the same except for ALS 1 and ALS 2.
Okay.
Because effectively it's the same thing, but you got to read into the definition of ALS 1 versus ALS 2.
Okay. So is it possible to incorporate some of the explanation? I mean, you provided an explanation right there, and there were some in the additional information that was given to us. So I mean, so like we understand it, but it's in the ordinance. It looks like you're charging charging different amounts for the exact same thing.
I would caution against doing that because that's set by state statute and can theoretically change the definitions of ALS 1, BLS, because they change those skill levels and those procedures from time to time. So I would caution that because it could at some point in time not be accurate. But I'm happy to add the definitions as they are now, what I've already provided to you if you want to do that. But
or is it annex? Like could the definition be changed? But this is
that's just printed straight from statute. So right now that's what the definitions are, and that's how it's identified. But that could change at any moment. I mean, that's the state. So.
Any thoughts from the rest of the council?
No?
What do you think, Brian? Is that something that, I mean, just so people understand why instead of charging 1,300 for advanced level 1, we're charging for 1,500 for advanced level 2 when the ordinance doesn't really differentiate?
I mean, I guess I haven't looked at it very closely. If it's, you're saying that you just copied state statute?
I'm saying that I copied and pasted C because it's exactly the same as B except ALS 1, ALS 2. ALS 1 doesn't clearly identify what constitutes an ALS 1 call, just like C doesn't constitute what is an ALS 2 call. The difference is an ALS 1 call is an ALS evaluation and at least one ALS procedure. ALS 2 calls are at least 3 ALS procedures. So
Hence the difference.
We've never done it before, but our billing company is recommending we do it because there is a higher rate of return for an ALS 2 level call. And we don't make that determination. The billing company makes that determination based on the narrative of the run report.
So it's, what you're saying is that it's fact specific?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know that we can actually.
And I'm saying those facts could, in theory, change based on EMS statutes.
I don't know that that could actually is something that we could actually put in the ordinance.
Because the billing entity is making that determination, correct?
Yeah.
Regardless of how our ordinance would read.
I mean, I would think that obviously we've got someplace in a handbook or something that explains what ALS 1 and ALS 2, what those are.
We know what they are, yes. But again, we don't identify that anywhere on our run report. We write a run report and that determination is made by the billing agency.
Okay.
We don't make that determination.
They just examined what you did,
Right.
Correct.
what procedures you did, what
So it's not like a customer's gonna decide,
Right.
Yeah.
you know.
It's not
We-
like choosing
the-
an extra value.
The city, right,
McDonald's.
the city of Union City has no input at all into the billing process. That's a third-party determination as to what an individual is going to be billed based on the level of care and the services provided by the city. The city has no input or conversation about that whatsoever.
If we provide that information in the ordinance and that information changes, then
Right.
that's
We'd
gonna
have to come
create,
back.
Right.
and we'd have to come back and update it.
Yeah.
And
That's,
That'd be a
because
proposal.
otherwise we'd have an inaccurate ordinance, which could be disputed.
yeah.
Or we could say something in the ordinance that says something like, well, the definitions are subject to change, depending on state, you know, whatever decision-making, or the current ones by annex.
I just leave them out because it's just a matter of searching what the information is.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be something that's gonna be explainable. And
Right.
but for the most part, it's not something that we don't have, like Steve says, this doesn't really affect us as a general rule on the general public because those billings, the most people don't, or people generally don't ever see these billings themselves. Their care provider does. And
And their insurance.
Their insurance and the uninsured it's rare to get anything collected from the uninsured. So it doesn't really matter at that point. And the insurance companies are gonna know what these are.
Right.
They know quite well. With that being said, do we have I would entertain a motion?
I'll move that we accept ordinance 2023-04, ordinance to amend Title IX, Chapter 99 of the codified ordinances of the city of Union City.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Who was the second?
I'm not sure.
Bob.
Bob, sorry. Bob was second.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tita Ferreras.
Yes.
And then the ordinance 2023-05, which is the ordinance amending the water rates, also on first reading. This, I believe, is presented according to what you guys had discussed, as you thought was the best, what we collectively thought was the best approach.
That was when we had Baker Tilly
Correct.
do that
Correct,
analysis.
and then we had public
and,
hearing. And, so this is the next step in our next link in the chain, so to speak. Anything there that you guys see that you have questions on, or?
Nope.
If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
If no other questions, I'll move, or no questions, I'll move we accept ordinance number 2023-05, an ordinance amending and restating the water rates and charges for water usage and services rendered by the city of Union City, Indiana by title only.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes, sorry.
I'm not sure, Jan left a note. Steve, do you remember about suspending the rules?
We cannot suspend the
And
rules.
we
Correct.
can't pass this now.
We
Is
can
that-
pass it on the first
On
reading.
just the first reading only.
And then it'll have to be on the agenda.
Yeah, we
for
cannot
the
suspend the
next
rules.
meeting.
Okay.
Just add
Even if it was unanimous. we
add
can-
in first reading to my motion then,
Yeah, first reading.
because we didn't have it on here as a first reading.
Do we have a first?
Or yeah, I had it in there as first reading.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jason.
Jason.
If you
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Jason Brewer.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tita Ferreras.
Yes.
All right, and then, Harder Park drainage.
Okay, so you guys have this or not?
No.
Okay, I think this came in after Jan sent the packet.
Yeah, I had it and I should have sent it out to everybody. I
So,
got busy last week, didn't copy it. So.
Step one of reimagining Harder Park is to get the water out from Shelter House 1 to the west, all the way through the edge of the park property. Currently, Randolph County has some work being done on 700. They have put together, the company doing that work has put together a proposal. They're already mobilized to the area. They can do this quickly. Ed Thornburg gave this quote to Tim. Tim can speak from a more educated point of view because he's been dealing with this water problem for a decade or longer. We can have a 12-inch, 1,400 feet of 12-inch dual wall tile ran through from the walking trail straight west, almost back to the property that would be like Nick's Automotive. What that will do is that'll take away a lot of the stormwater. There'll be a 2x2 catch basin at the walking trail, and we will be able to tile the rest of the park into that stormwater line and get the water out of the park. That estimate was $31,900, and the county is willing, and they have confirmed that they'll pay 50% of that, and they'll maintain that line as part of the county ditch to assist us in getting the water out of the park. So I would like to move forward with this rather quickly, just simply because they're already here. I'm not going to be paying another mobilization fee, and we can get the work done while they're here currently doing work. So it's going to be about 16 grand, just shy of, and I think that's really kind of step one in the infrastructure of reimagining what we can do at Harder Park, because it's hard for us to do anything when some of it's a lake.
Yeah.
So are you talking about what I guess have been used as baseball before and then soccer?
That is
area?
where it'll go, but yes, from the shelter house 1 back through the loop of the walking trail, we'll be able to put tile in and direct the water back to that catch basin, and then all of that west field that's low, we'll be able to get the water out of that as well.
Which one's number one? Like,
The
I'm
big-
just
The-
what?
by
Sorry.
It's a
The
big.
big old.
Oh, go.
oldest
Got
one.
it. Okay.
And there's a breakover somewhere in there. I don't know where the breakover is, which way the water turns, but we'll be able to take the west end of that area, of the wooded area, get some of that water, and then all of the field area. And we had numbers. You remember any old numbers when we had quotes before about doing the? Now, this was,
I can remember one at 45,000.
well, that was just, but we had numbers in the hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
for tiling and ditching the whole thing and taking it to the creek.
That was, yeah.
And because that took it all the way to the
Consider
creek.
that one.
But that was just
Tim
getting
and I
the
have
water away.
been hearing about this and talking about it, begging people to do something about it
So-
for at least 10 years. I'm thinking maybe more like 12.
So we'll have additional money to spend to actually tile it, but this gets us a
Oh,
avenue
it's
for
just-
for
it's
that water to
fantastic.
go to once we tile it.
What do you mean tile?
Just the
Drainage.
fingers of drainage tile out through the fields, like
Like they do in the farm.
like
in
similar to
the
farm field tile that you see.
That's what I'm sorry. I don't know. Uninformed. Sorry.
Trust us on this, Steve.
Okay.
You're gonna have this, you've got the fields out here, you're gonna have this drain line runs over here where it connects to, at Nick's Automotive, this basin will be here, and then eventually we'll have tile in through this field, small, like 4-inch tile, to collect water to bring it to this line.
Tiles like under the
Under
surface.
Yeah, subsoil tile, yeah.
It's
Oh.
like I didn't know what tile was either. I had to educate myself. It's like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like it's a PVC,
Yeah, the corrugated.
corrugated
plastic,
PVC
yeah.
pipe,
Little holes
basically.
in it. and
You
water.
see the big
Percolates in there.
reels of it out in the farm fields when the farmers are
And
out
they-
in their field.
Yeah, and they
Drain.
bury it,
Yeah.
so it drains off standing water into a ditch or a creek. And farmers, I mean, that's what farmers do to manage water out in their field. And, yeah, I
It ain't
don't know
all
why they're
fields.
called tile.
Well, because it used to be made out of clay tile.
Yeah.
Initially,
Oh, yeah.
100 years ago, they were clay tile.
Okay.
All clay
And they
tile.
laid them end to end.
Oh, yeah,
So-
yeah, I get
Yeah,
it.
pain in the rear.
Wow. Learn something every day.
Yeah.
Will
So,
the Parkview benefit the drainage there benefit from this at all, or is there a way?
No, because all of Parkview's
It's going
water
the other
goes
way.
straight to the river from the corner of the skate park. Now,
Yeah, 'cause I
that
saw-
that's a
saw
lot
drainage.
bigger conversation to really go in there and make adjustments and address the stormwater issue. I know that there's been conversation. I can get a preliminary engineering report on that, but that's going to be huge. The system that's in that development is small, to say the least, plus everything goes into one and then comes out a single outflow. So I know Monty previously has looked at it a couple ways. He's looked at it taking it directly to the pond there
Right.
at the Key property.
Mhm.
I know he's looked at rerouting it into the park so it gets away faster, but the glitch, it works perfectly unless the river's high and then it can't get away quick enough.
Yeah.
So we know that that's an issue, but we kind of inherited that system, so we've got to figure out the best way, the best avenue to travel to fix it.
Okay. There's just a question.
Yep.
Thank you.
So again, I would like to just be able to move on this and give them the thumbs up while they're here, because not that it'll be a lot of money, but it'll cost us a couple $1,000s to get them remobilized to do the work somewhere down the road.
So we have a motion to move forward with the work.
I move that we fund the proposed tiling in the west end of Harder Park for $16,000.
I will second.
I'm
All
sorry,
right.
who was that?
Bob.
We have a first, we have a second. Cindy,
Brandon
roll call vote.
Miller,
Yes.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Jason Brewer?
Yes.
Tim Heiss?
Yes.
Tito Ferris?
Yes.
All right. Moving right along with our agenda, we have any visitors wishing to address the council, if you would. Stand and state your name and address. No visitors. The date of the next council meeting will be Monday, March 27th at 6 p.m. And the date of the next Board of Works meeting will be Monday, March 27th at 1 p.m. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Meeting is adjourned.
Second.
Tim and Bob.
Tim and Bob.
Bob, you want to do